Use the use the
We can use
mic on the ground. Yeah.
yeah.
Bueno, ¿quieres empezar? Sí, pero-
Okay, so I went on the Thursday to see your show on El Portal, and I don't know, it was awesome. And after the show, I was like, I think I told you a little bit. I felt like the sports journalists that after like the matches here, the soccer matches, go to Messi and they said, it's like, Messi, you were awesome. What did you feel? So I just like, it's like I was thinking, okay, what can I ask you about the show? And it's like, I just want to say it was awesome. How did you feel? I mean, but maybe we can start like, how do you feel about like traveling all like through Latin America right now? I think you started this tour in Colombia, and how it's been. I mean, you're almost like done, right? Is this your last show in Latin America, or there's one more? Yeah, I mean, already, no, it's up to you. Okay.
It's good to have the mic. Mic is good? Or-
As you wish.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we don't need it.
Sí, no necesitamos.
No.
We don't need it?
Wait.
¿Lo escuchan bien?
Sí.
Vamos.
So how do you feel like touring all through South America, Latin America? I mean,
It's been really cool. I mean, I feel like the different places in Latin America are very different from one another. So in a way, it's like hard to even what to say about it as a whole, you know. But like, I love to perform. I love to tour. I love to connect with people and to kind of do this, you know. And it's like a very spiritual practice for me. You know, like we were talking about like kind of church, like Gnosticism and like liturgy and this kind of thing. I'm always very like conscious of sort of the energies that come up in a show,
Right.
and the way that it's a very like, you know, sacred opportunity for people to really like you know, see each other's common humanity. You know, express sincere emotion. I just think that type of interaction is just like supremely important, and so that's so I spend a lot of time doing it. You know, I mean, because I do like you know people come up to me and they like the show or something like that feels good, but like it's also like I just like the exchange of energies that happens. You know, it's like a gift economy or something.
love it. Yeah, I mean, and it feels somehow like new to me, at least. I mean, I didn't know your music much, but what I really came to appreciate is that somehow you found, like, in black metal, that it's considered a genre like full with cacophonous sounds, the devil, demons all over, death. You found there.
That's the cartoon version of black metal.
Right.
That's the outsider view.
But I mean,
It's
it's
there,
still there.
but not always.
Yeah, but you found what's kind of like this paradox, which is like black metal is a place for revelation, actually, like a place where you can find like this community of people, or like this sort of like spiritual practice. And I don't know, it's not a question, might be more like an impression that I had after listening to your music. And I felt, oh, this reminds me, I mean, the metaphor might be way too much, but like, I feel like the monks from like the ancient tradition in the East, like going to the desert, like this place also that was like in the outskirts of society.
The Desert Fathers in Egypt.
Right, like going there to look like seeking for solitude, but also like to fight against like all these temptations, and that were inside them, but as a place to actually to go and get a stronger faith. And I don't know, like I felt something of that, like this genre can be both these things at the same time, and I don't know, it was somehow like, again, like new, refreshing, and super interesting, and I don't know, thank you, I appreciate it for letting me leave all of that. But I don't know, like, what do you find in black metal that makes you feel it's a place where you can develop your spiritual inner self? Does it make sense?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of ways I could answer that question, but the one that is coming to me right now is, I mean, black metal is very dark, you know,
Right.
like it's like, I know that's a little bit of a cliche, but, you know, it is the only genre of music that's kind of, you know, founded on, like, murder, you know, like
Yeah, it has been its calling card for
and
30 years.
And I think the way, and the world is very dark, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
the world is, I mean, really dark, you know,
Right.
it's like there's a lot of really bad things happening, you know, and that's almost, and that's almost too much to bear, you know, like black metal makes sense in a way, but I think for me, it's like that like anchors the spirituality, where it makes it serious, I guess, you know, where it's like there is a kind of really grave context, and then you can kind of start from there and be like authentically spiritual, and like, you know, like still choose love, or still sort of focus on like not just community, but like cultivating divine energy, you know, like something like even just like Dale Cooper in Twin Peaks or something, you know, just like doing that anyway, even though the world's so dark. I think that I was originally attracted to black metal in a much more straightforward way, you know, and then I kind of grew through it into this. So yeah, I don't reject the dark part of it.
Mm.
And I think that it's because it's possible to be superficially spiritual also, you know, just
Right.
like, oh, everything's great, you know, or like, so yeah.
How do you feel that, where do you feel that liturgy fits in the broader spectrum of metal? Because, I mean, you are, people can see more, liturgy is something you can see from many standpoints, but the metal standpoint will always be there. You see a lot of metal shirts here. There's got a Behemoth shirt, a Slayer shirt. D-side cultivates its own spiritual energy too. How do you feel you fit inside the massive narrative that is metal? I mean, you said earlier like black metal doesn't want you. I think it does, and there's a place in black metal for you. But how do you feel? You feel you fit in? You don't fit into what metal is?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I certainly, you know, resonate with lots of other contexts too. You know, and also like black metal as mediated by fine art, you know, because when I discovered black metal,
There's more. You're more Steve Reich than Darkthrone.
Yeah, but also like Bjorn Melgar or someone like that, like people were sort of interrogating what black metal is from a kind of like Mike Kelly sort of like cultural critique kind of spirit, and I was very interested in that when I first discovered what the music was. So just like as an art project, and then yeah, of course like the Steve Reich stuff as well. Like I feel in a way maybe personally in some ways more connected to the minimalism tradition, like from like Reich to Bronca and that kind of thing. But I don't see it as an either or, because like I think a lot about like the world, like history, and so like black metal and classical music I sort of see, or like metal in general, classical music, I see as like they're both like stages in history, that have a relationship to like certain types of technology, and I guess I'm kind of I'm sort of a futurist, you know. So I'm kind of interested in like the idea of like transcendental black metal. Part of what that means is like examining the condition of possibility of metal, like what could metal become? You know, like what is metal like the prehistory of, you know, and like the way I kind of think of it is like, you know, it's like some sort of new like total work of art that no one understands yet or something like that.
Your definition of transcendental metal confronts with metal history. It implies a difference with Scandinavian black metal, which is the form of black metal we all know. You present a view of American metal, which is not strictly US. You say it in your manifesto yourself. If you can explain further on that difference, because American black metal, if you listen to other projects like Clara, for example, what does resonate with your music. How do you explain this art form, this way of performing black metal, which is so varied and it's so different? I mean, this form of black metal doesn't resemble anything to the Norwegian stuff in the 90s, for example. How do you explain this presentation of black metal?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of ways of thinking about American black metal. I mean, yeah, I mean, first of all, like Latin America and South America, I think in a lot of ways is as much the birth of black metal as Scandinavia is in a way.
Sarcophago.
Yeah, Sarcophago and Parabellum also, you know, and like ultra metal, you know, from Colombia.
Reencarnación.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, in a lot of ways, you know, it almost seems like it was a bit. There should be more credit given in a way, I think. But like, yeah, I mean, there's. In some ways, it was obvious that I feel like there was this phenomenon of black metal as a style filtering into like American independent music, and so there's, you know, like fusion with like screamo and hardcore and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, in some ways it's kind of easy to explain. You know, it's like, well, like indie rock kids in the U.S. found out about black metal and started like, you know,
Which is black metal played by non-metalheads.
Yeah, or black metal bands liking, yeah, like hardcore or I mean, not hardcore is part of the beginning, but yeah, I don't know. I mean these days.
I don't know. Sorry, but I was like thinking about the place that your music like have in this world. I mean, I was looking at the metal archives, and there's actually an entry for Liturgy, and I was like, I mean, it was okay. I mean, maybe it's more like performative. I mean, what's your place? I don't know. This is my place. I mean, I'm there, like. And it was funny for me because like the definition of like the subgenres, it's like, okay, it's avant-garde, black metal, and also post-structuralism black metal. And I was like, whoa, what is this? Post-structuralism. And now that you're talking about conditions of possibility, now I say it, okay, it's like,
yeah.
You know, I mean, okay, like thinking, maybe it has to do with like thinking what else can it be or could be, and what else is there to explore and can be done with this sounding. I don't know, it could be like what you write about, like the blast beat of like versus the burst beat, or I mean, there's probably like a lot there, but I don't know, maybe it's black metal because it's there, and that's it, you know, like, I don't know.
I think what's kind of interesting for me
And
is
that's it.
Okay, so it's like, I haven't talked about this in a while. So
Oh,
it's
sorry,
kind of, no, it's kind of fun to go down like
We're
very
like,
on this point.
I think like we are like being a little like speculating a little bit, and it's okay.
No,
like,
I wasn't complaining at all. No, I'm enjoying the conversation. Yeah, no, like because Liturgy was really one of the first like American bands to play black metal. Yeah, like there were a couple. There's like Krieg and like Weakling and stuff like that. But like in terms of turning away from black metal aesthetics, like no one had ever done that.
Right.
Like before I started, and that was like I kind of feel like I don't fit that well. I'm kind of curious what you think about this anyway. I feel like I don't fit that well into either standard black metal or the sort of more standard like independent music co-optation of black metal because I do take the black metal part so seriously. Like the difference between me and a lot of other American bands is like writing a text, writing a visionary text, and kind of seeking to be kind of illegible, seeking to be something that that the music industry can't quite handle. I sort of I'm always like a bit canceled like in every
a little
possible
bit
context.
Out of context.
Yeah.
A little bit like corrida, like a little bit like out of place.
Out of step, like minor threat.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And I kind of like that space, I mean that's like I was talking a lot about the more loving aspect of spirituality in the shows, but I also kind of like I feel like that's what rock music is supposed to be about, is being a little bit defiant towards actually defiant towards convention, and not just like saying that you're being defiant towards convention, but everyone's like, oh great.
Yeah, but what I find again, it's like these plays that all these like questions or around like your practice that are solved because people listen to your music. Because I was like looking through like some like Reddit conversations, like posts like, hey, how about what about liturgy? And it all ended up like people saying that they listen to your work. It's like, I like the first I listened to the first album more. Like I don't know if I like the manifesto and that stuff, but the good like the second album I like it more than the third, or like stuff. Just people like listening to your music.
Everyone has their own take.
Yeah, but at the end, it's like that's it. That's what it takes. What it matters, like people, and that's taking you seriously enough, or you actually finding a condition of possibility to your music, because people listen to it. People from that very same community or genre.
It's like I always love seeing like how different people respond to, because it's a pretty long, extensive body of work at this point, and some albums, some people think that like, oh, that's absolutely the worst album, like don't listen to that one, and then other people are like, no, that's the one. You don't get Liturgy if you don't.
I don't say you peaked, but nobody peaks ever. But I think you're the one record that I would recommend is The Origin of the Alimonies. And The Origin of the Alimonies, if you read the track list, it reads like a Gnostic gospel.
That's like the bottom of the iceberg right there.
I think it's an amazing record. The one with the number. The one with the number I like particularly, but Origin of the Alimonies has a very solid idea behind it. And if you read the track list, it reads like a Gnostic gospel. We talked about Gnosticism on the car on the way here. Gnosticism hasn't been presented in any form of rock music prior to this. It's always been a part of cult groups or religious studies in universities. Do you feel Gnosticism is a quest of the self? It's mostly a quest of the self. It's one's own relationship with God, with spirituality. Spirituality being a tool. God is the ultimate goal. Do you feel you try to present that in your music?
I appreciate that you brought that up, because I kind of said this, but like that's my personal favorite album as well, but that's probably the least, I think it's what people listen to the least anyway, because it's not catchy in the same way. It's like a through composed opera basically, and kind of isn't complete without the film that goes with. But in terms of like what I was talking before about like what would be like a new work of art that's like beyond metal, like it would be like a Wagnerian opera or something that uses
It's an opera of spiritual beings.
yeah.
If you read the names, it's
Well, and then like
you find the same kind of names in a Gnostic gospel.
Just like a world or something, you know, like yeah. I mean, I don't like I don't really use the term Gnosticism, especially. I mean, I'm a practicing Christian, and like and like Kabbalah. You know, I think there's a lot of shared material between Kabbalah and Gnosticism, and so I tend to think of it in terms of Christian Kabbalah. And
that's Gnosticism. That's one way of taking it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they're essentially the same. I think that they are kind of from the same intersecting, like Judaic Hellenic kind of tradition. And yeah, I mean, again, this is kind of making a similar, but the same point from a different angle, but you know, like performances, like the entertainment industry is like a church, you know, and so like any kind of artistic performance is like an opportunity to either do like have like an authentic spiritual experience, or like kind of you know, like a tune out or like be exploited or something like that. And so like I'm just very sensitive to like the spiritual potentials in creating works of art, representing them in different ways.
Do you feel sacred art throughout history was mostly about seeking divine beauty and representing it? You see Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel. It's a representation of divine beauty. Beauty and black metal are not matching terms. Do you feel you're after divine beauty in some way?
Yeah, I don't think they're so. I mean, because black metal is so sublime, you know, like it's sublime, you know, and so. I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously it's, you know, it's possible to choose to, you know, cultivate some like violent, evil energy, you know, but like it's like, I feel like there's a neutral, I have a word for it, Hael, which is Sophia basically, right?
Yes.
There's sort of a neutral, quasi-divine energy, and you know, it's possible to cultivate it within yourself, to sort of learn to detect it, and then to make use of it to do things. And those are like skills, you know, and they're like you can approach them esoterically. You can also approach them as art. I think those aren't the exact same thing, but I think there's a huge crossover between them, more than people are usually thinking about. But then cultivating the energy is one thing, and then how to use it is a totally different thing. So it can be in a destructive form, and if you channel that, then you just spread more destruction. But you can also, and that can seem exciting, you know. But like, so it's kind of a weaker. It's a weaker thing to choose the like good version of it, because it's not quite as infectious, I think. But it's like, you know, it's sturdy, and like, you know when it's good, you know. And I think that beauty is inherently good in a way, you know, like that, and that even in darker forms, there's still some beauty there that can be extracted or something.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wonder like how also your music might help us to reshape a little bit the representation that we picture ourselves about heavenly sound. You know, like I like we have also like these representations about how like what are the sounds of like hell, like again like the screams or the hiss of the serpent, I don't know, like, and like heaven it's all angels, I don't know, like, or bells. And but while I was listening to you I was like, okay, maybe this also like music helps us like reshape or expand the boundaries of what we consider like the sounds of like the divine, you know, or like, or God in a way, you know, might sound a little bit like, I don't know, like silly or crazy, but like, again, like maybe the representations of the sound, like how the divine sounds can be a little bit dissonant too, a little bit, or it can be like these, I mean, this sort of like interplay between, like I hear that in the Ali motive, like these moments where it feels a little bit more like heaven, and then it's different kind of like voice. I mean, I don't know, I found it like super interesting, and to expound also like the frontiers of also the what we understand for like the divine and the evil, or I mean, or like the dark, I would say, or like you say, it can be a little bit, even the divine or the beauty can be a little bit darker.
It can be terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, there's always, it's kind of a personal taste thing in a way for me, I guess. Like, it always just seems to me like there's this way that heaven sounds. And like, I've always just like wanted, like, oh, of course, like what, like invoke this like heavenly sound, you know, like what's more beautiful than like, you know,
right, but how does it sound? I mean, me too, like, but we kind of have to like build that up. And
like Lydia.
What are the what are the instruments, or how, you know, or the voices, and how is it to feel like we're in heaven? Or like,
I think you kind of know, because this is part of the idea behind aesthetics, which is one of the ideas in that. Thanks for printing out this text, by the way. It wasn't my idea. And it's, it's super cool to have it here, but where I think there are certain like frequencies that cause you to feel more like grateful and generous and compassionate, you know, or like I don't know if they're frequent, like there's just like certain aesthetic experiences that you have that like wake you up, you know, and you're just like, oh, like I love everybody so much, you know, or like you know that little thing, you know, like, oh, that argument that I was in is like stupid, like I'm gonna go apologize or something, like and there, I mean, I had that experience anyway, like of my own music in a way, because I like it so much, and other music as well. I mean, especially like Arvo Pärt, and I mean a lot of music where it's like, you can, like, art is very, very powerful. Yeah, it's really, really powerful, and there's and there can be really good art that doesn't do that thing, but yeah, I've always just been attracted to this, the thing that really just like changes, you know, just changes your whole perspective.
Right, or even your practices, because if you, after like listening to certain music, you feel like that you want to just like you said, okay, now I'm gonna like drop this argument with a friend, you know, like shapes also the way you are. You know.
And it seems like culture could have like more and more of that permeating it, you know, and it just seems, you know, like you just want to add more of that, because like there's no like reason that it needs to like not be, you know, like what if you were always hearing those sounds, you know, like Stockhausen would kind of talk about like, oh, like, well, he had this like modernist vision of like, oh, we'll turn music into architecture, and like just like you walk down the street and you see buildings, you would like hear just the right sounds, you know, that would like, so I mean that's a little bit like creepy almost to think of it in that like ridiculous of a way, but
that rings a bell, because black metal, the original appeal of black metal was being so primitive, so raw, Liturgy, it has a lot of music theory behind it, I guess. It takes a lot. I don't play those tracks live. I feel like a massive memory exercise. Do you feel, perhaps you ever feared that raw quality that makes black metal so unique, that makes black metal what it is? You have like the super pretty black metal of the '90s, but black metal like real black metal, like true black metal. There is a true black metal. I believe in that. Do you feel that can get lost in your case?
I don't really know if, I feel like there's plenty of true black metal that is pretty complicated.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and
you have to get to get the tone right.
Well, I mean, Emperor, for example, you know, is
your stuff is trickier.
Well, anyway, it's pretty complicated.
Yeah.
And even Parabellum, I mean, I think like, I mean, I definitely know what you're saying though. Like yeah, there's definitely something raw about black metal, but no, yeah, I don't know. I think that plenty of the early black metal icons, I think, were doing very thoughtful, experimental stuff. I don't think it was ever like a dumb like genre like music. I don't think that way.
No, I didn't know. It was never dumb, but do you feel, the question is, do you feel that aspect of black metal gets lost in your music? Or do you don't care about it? Which is valid.
I mean, my earliest black metal cassettes were very primitive. I'm actually doing an archival release of some early material that most people haven't heard, like next week. But yeah, I don't know. It's possible there's something that has been lost from black metal.
Federico, ¿alguien quiere preguntar algo?
Sí, si quieren hacer alguna
preguntas, si guste.
Thank you all of you for the conversation. I will try to ask in English, but if there's a mistake, you can correct me. My first question is on relation with the American part of the black metal, transcendental black metal, because in your manifest you differentiate America from United States, like it's an ontological difference. Transcendental American way and the empiric United States, that's also an empire that's falling, that's idea. And I was thinking, like there is like a tradition that thinks that American way. I think in Kafka, the America like a new topology of desire. I think in Derrida, this definition of deconstruction, la deconstrucción c'est l'Amérique. I also think in Deleuze, this idea of Anglo-American literature, like All Ones on the Road. But I was thinking if there is like an ontological level in Latin America. What do you think about that? And the other question is a bit biographical, autobiographical. And it's like if we can think a parallel between the evolution of your works, your music, how has changed, the synthetic level, that it's always, the intensity of that synthetic is always higher, each album, and if that could correlate between a exploration of your identity, like there is an autographical mark on your works of that change.
Yeah, those are great questions, thanks. Yeah, I mean, the thing with America, I mean, the answers are kind of related, actually. I mean, I think there's probably not as, I'd say the connection between like a transcendental idea of America and Latin America is as different from the connection between transcendental America and the United States. Like what I meant at the time was similar and influenced by what you were talking about, like Deleuze's ideas about sort of the American. I mean, there's something about the landscape in like all of this hemisphere that does have this mountainous, wide open plains quality that actually I do kind of feel like it feels like Aaron Copland's music or something. Like there is this kind of like, because I've never traveled here before, and like most places in America, there's something about landscapes that doesn't seem to really change. But I mean, I don't really use the America idea so much anymore, and that's part of something that changed it, you know, because this is a 15-year-old text, and like I kind of have replaced it with the word Byzantine, which is sort of a reference to Orthodox Christianity, but it's a little so like the Byzantine Empire was sort of like the Roman Empire that never happened or something, and like it's not even a real place. Like we only name the Byzantine Empire. So it was the Eastern Roman Empire, and then from the present we like go back and look at it and call it Byzantine, but it just never existed. And like I think that when you're talking about like a great empire or something, like the only, you know, it's one that never existed, you know, so yeah, I tend to kind of have it be less localized now, and maybe that, and then that relates to your second question. I think that like I feel like I'm personally I'm not in control. I mean, and honestly nobody's like this. I mean, I'm not really in control of what I'm doing. You know, and so like I'm always very interested to try something new. I always kind of feel like there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I'm very interested in like going, you know, from point A to point B, and then usually when I get there, like the whole past kind of looks different after that, you know. So like Liturgy 10 years ago, it just contextualized in my mind so differently now than it was at the time, and yeah, I don't, you know, and I think that's part of like living in faith, you know. It's just kind of trying to lean into intuitions and lean into, you know, goodness, good relationships, and then and kind of be surprised by what happens.
¿Alguna otra pregunta?
Hi. How do you feel when bands or musicians who are not into black metal or any kind of metal tries to approach the experience of doing music that approaches black metal or any kind of metal?
You mean like Mount Erie or something like that?
Sorry?
Do you mean like Mount Erie?
I don't know.
You mean like an artist that's not a metal artist?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I think that people will. I don't like when people treat it as a cliche. You know, I think it deserves respect. But yeah, I don't typically have a problem with artists, you know, trying to cross boundaries. I mean, it kind of depends on how you use it, really. I don't think there's one answer to that question.
Una más y
¿Y no jodemos más? No.
son dos levantaron la mano, digan el número 1 al 10.
No, está bien, fueron las dos.
Bueno, sí, Federico Martínez Pena le cede la pregunta del caballero.
Hi, thank you so much for being here and sharing this with us. I just wanted to know, since you are so aware and make it explicit in your music, the idea of like the transcendence and the affection of the body in a way, you know, like how you hit the body or you make noise so that to affects the body in a way. I was wondering if you have just a few like recommendations in any media whatsoever lately that also clashes with this idea that I really admire, you know, the idea that art can, you know, like affect physically your body, you know, like shake you or like roil you in a way, you know.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite one is the work of Alexander Scriabin, who's a post-romantic composer who had a vision of creating a symphony or creating like an opera that like it would be performed in the Himalayas and then like the heavens would open and like history would come to an end and that actually comes from the Orthodox Christian tradition. So a lot. I've actually been reading a lot of liturgical theology, which is a kind of obscure subdiscipline of theology, of people who believe that like a religious worship service doesn't have to be Christian, but just a religious service is primary theology, is what we call it, and so like that. Think of theology as concepts, but that like theology is actually a series of actions that a community is doing together. So I've been reading Alexander Schneemann is a liturgical theologian that's very interesting. And there's a woman named Christina Geschwander who talks about the same thing from a phenomenological perspective. So she's more kind of into like French theory. Those are some suggestions.
Thank you.
Bueno,
One more, ya la última, ¿no? Bueno,
no dejo Flora. ¿Hay más? ¿Una más? Federico Martínez Pérez.
Yeah. Thanks for the conversation. It was super insightful and interesting. You were talking about consuming black metal at first in a very straightforward way, and I was wondering if you can identify a particular moment in your life when you discovered that music can be spiritual, and what sort of music does connect to you in what you are trying to do right now in those terms.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Fun
Thank
question. Yeah, I think that the first spiritual experience I had of music was Arvo Pärt. He's a Estonian sacred minimalist composer. And I discovered him somehow in high school, and the like Tabula Rasa and Fortress was this like CD that was kind of famous, and that clearly I like heard that and it's like, oh, this sounds like God, you know. And he's actually a huge influence. I don't talk about Arvo Pärt that much, but and what was the other question about black metal specifically? Or
Yeah, because you were talking about consuming it in a very straightforward way.
yeah.
But what was interesting for me is to understand your view in terms of discovering spiritual music and what did you make you feel.
Yeah, I mean, when I first discovered black metal, I think I discovered Arvo Pärt first, I think, before black metal, and so first hearing like Dark Throne and that kind of thing, it did feel spiritual. Like I saw it as spiritual, like just because it's so sublime and so mysterious, you know, and like cryptic, so it's spiritual in that way. I just mean that I straightforwardly liked it and that I was surprised. You know, like I was like, yeah, like this is, you know, like everything is horrible, you know, like that's kind of how I saw black metal at first. I think is almost having a spirituality of despair, and I especially liked really mournful black metal, like Zastor, who's also an American band. I think the first American band I heard had especially mournful music that kind of connected with me. I was never that into like super dissonant, like hateful, you know, like I wasn't
Like
really
Marduk.
I wasn't into like really aggressive. Yeah, it was always more like sad, like so infinitely sad. Yeah, that was kind of my.
Dark Throne translation Hunger is like super bleak song.
Yeah.
It makes you feel so alone.
Yeah.
We get lost in that. Bueno.
Okay.
yeah, thank you so much.
Bueno.
Le damos un recreíto un ratito y 10 minutos nada más. Nos quedemos acá porque el corte